Well, listeners, welcome back to Subculture on CentralCoastRadio.com. We've got a very, very special guest on the show right now because Riki Rachtman is bringing his One Foot in the Gutter show to Australia, and we thought we would actually get him on the phone today to talk a little bit, not only about the show, but also about his whole time on Sunset Strip and so many of the amazing things that he's done with his life, including the Cat House. Welcome to the program, Riki.
Thank you very much. I'm happy to be here, and I'm so excited about these upcoming shows. I'm a little bit nervous, but I'm really excited.
So, Riki, tell us a little bit about these shows. We've heard about the One Foot in the Gutter show going across America. Tell us a little bit about what our listeners can expect from these shows.
The One Foot in the Gutter show, I've done 24 shows in the States. And they're a little bit different than what I'm doing in Australia. The One Foot in the Gutter show in America it's 2.5 hours long, just me talking. That's a long time. I talk about, getting into rock and roll, creating the Cat House, what it was like being a part of the Sunset Strip scene, and watching all my best friends becoming the biggest rock stars in the world, into hosting the Headbangers Ball on MTV. But what I'm doing in Australia is doing a edited version that doesn't go through a lot of the stuff in the long one, because afterwards we're going to DJ and turn it into the Cat House Rock and Roll Dance Club, which is something that hasn't been done in decades. So that's going to be fun to get up there and DJ and play Cat House music and hopefully create a little Cat House Rock and Roll Dance Club again.
Awesome. So, Riki, where did the idea for these shows first come from? Because you've done so much in your life, so where did that original seed come from for you to do these shows?
I've been lucky to have some of the greatest jobs in the world, but without a doubt, these shows is the best thing I've ever done, ever.
Yep.
It came up, I think after watching people like Rollins and other people say, like, wow, I'd like to do one of those storytellings. Everybody's been asking me forever to write a book. And I always thought the book that I would write might not be exactly what people want to hear, because I was focused a lot on the drugs and the sex and all the bad things that happen. Then I just got on stage one night in Charlotte, and it was the biggest show I've ever played. People asked me to do more and more, and then 5 shows came up, and then the next thing you know, 24 shows came up. My whole life, I've heard all my friends talk about going on tour, and I've always dreamt about what it would be like going on tour, and I'm doing it now. And the idea of going to Australia, getting on stage, telling people these stories, and Australia, like in America, no matter what I do, people know me as the host of Headbangers Ball. That's why most people show up in America. They want to hear the stories about Headbangers Ball. But in Australia, they never even had Headbangers Ball. So to know that a lot of the stuff I'm going to talk about is the legacy of the Cat House, which I created, is very, very flattering.
Definitely. And your life as well, of course, has a very different kind of meaning here in Australia, because for many of us, like you said, growing up on the other side of the world, we heard all these stories about Sunset Strip. We were listening to the music and we wanted to be there but couldn't be there. So are you going to kind of bring that element into the show as well?
Absolutely. I want people to know what it was like walking down the Sunset Strip, what it was like going in between the Whiskey and the Roxy and stopping at the Rainbow. And then the Cat House was so different, because the Cat House was like the evil, dangerous, nasty stepdaughter of the Sunset Strip, and what it was like when the Cat House became one of the biggest, most famous rock and roll clubs in the world. And I know that sounds very conceited of me to say. However, Cat House shirts still sell, and I get to go to Australia and talk about the Cat House all these years later. What, 40 years later? Wow, 40 years later. So that means a lot to me, that the legacy of that club is that strong.
Yeah, Riki, as we mentioned in our intro as well, you've done so much in your life. How do you know what to put into the show and what to leave out of the show?
The first show I ever did was 3 hours. That's way too long. It's actually more. And then I had to start cutting it out. There's with the longer version, I talk about a lot of the bad things that happen with going to jail and losing the jobs and having to work my way up. That part I might take out for the Australia show, but there's definitely stories that, I go to my wife, I'm like, hey, should I keep this show? Because I'm having to cut it down, which is very difficult. There's some stories that are hard, but I try to give the stuff that people are going to be amazed, shocked, laugh, their jaw's going to drop. I want that to be the ones that people hear the most.
Definitely. We have a lot of sports people here in Australia who do shows like this where once they finish their career, they do these tours and go around talking about their careers. And I've spoken to a couple of them over the years, and they say the first thing that always happens when they announce these shows is they get a string of people ringing them going, hey, you're not going to tell that story about the time that we did this. Did you get that? Did you get that when you first started these shows?
Not really, but there were a couple stories that I put in my show that people were saying, you know what, you really shouldn't put that in because he's going to get pissed. And I took it out for a while, but I think I'll tell those stories in Australia because they're all true.
Yeah.
And if somebody did me wrong, I don't care if I share it or not. What is he going to do? Why'd you tell that story? Was it true? Yes. There are people, you know, I just booked a show in Los Angeles right on Hollywood Boulevard. That's going to be an interesting show because I'm going to be looking at an audience that mostly went to the Cat House and know some of these stories, or stories might be about some of them. So that's going to be very interesting, talking about these stories, looking at people that might have been characters in the stories.
Definitely. Now, I hope this doesn't encroach on the show too much, but tell us a little bit about the Cat House and the vibe that was around the Cat House at that time so we can kind of get a bit of a feel about the Cat House party side of the show.
The Cat House was opened up. It sounds like such a cliche these days, but me and my roommate Tammy, who's a singer Faster Pussycat, truly opened the Cat House so we could get free drinks and meet strippers. I mean, I know that sounds like a stupid thing, but hey, it's 1986. We didn't open it knowing that the biggest rock bands in the world would play there. And I had a policy that people couldn't bring cameras into my club because I wanted the rock stars to show up there and know they could do anything they wanted. And everything was done in that club. I mean, to say the cliche sex, drugs, rock and roll, the Cat House really was sex, drugs, rock and roll. It was like that the moment you walked in. And you never knew who you would see. I mean, you saw some of the biggest Hollywood stars and the biggest rock stars. People could do whatever they wanted at the Cat House, and it wouldn't come back until I got up on stage and started telling some of these stories. I mean, I don't tell anything that would purposely hurt somebody that doesn't deserve it. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not here to destroy anybody's careers. But there's a couple people that I felt did me wrong, and I don't mind calling them out on it. But most of it is very fun, very decadent. There's a lot of stories about some of my friends in drugs. I don't know how they're going to feel about that, but I'm in Australia. Maybe they won't know. Maybe they will. I don't know.
Do you think it was the fact that the Cat House, you could be so anonymous there, that's why some of the bigger bands in the world decided to go there and play?
Absolutely. We had a lot of bands that would play, you know, Megadeth would play under a different name. We would not tell people who were playing. Motorhead played there under a different name plenty of times. It was just, but I think the reason that so many rock stars went there, because if you were a fan of a certain band, that's okay, but don't bug them inside the Cat House. We didn't have velvet ropes. We didn't have VIP sections or anything like that. Because we wanted everybody just to feel that they could hang out and they could do basically whatever they wanted, and that was the whole vibe around the Cat House.
Definitely. Now, for our listeners out there, if you want to see Riki's show, it's on Saturday the 3rd of June in Adelaide, Sunday the 4th of June in Brisbane, Friday the 9th of June in Melbourne, and Saturday the 10th of June in Sydney. And all of those dates and ticket information are up on our website as well. Riki, I noticed there's a few days off there in between. What are you hoping to do on those days when you're in Australia with a few days off?
Relax, because I haven't done that in months. I hope to go to the Koala Bear Sanctuary in Brisbane and I gotta be tourist. I gotta do some Australia things. So if people want to go on my Facebook at Riki Rachtman or Instagram and suggest places, I'm all about that. I want to eat. I want to walk around. I want to relax. You know, unfortunately, I'm going in winter. so I won't be able to go to the beaches. But I want to go to. I want to see if there's rock clubs or rock bars. I want to just check out so much stuff. I'm going to eat a lot because I heard that there's some great food in Australia.
Yep.
And I don't have like a set itinerary. But the good thing is because I have days off, I have a couple days in all of these different areas. You know, I get to Sydney 2 days early, and then I get to Adelaide 2 days early, and then after Adelaide, I don't remember where I have, but I have like a couple days off in all these places. And my sister, who lives in New Zealand, actually is going to fly up to Brisbane, and then we'll go do koala bear stuff.
That is awesome. I was going to suggest to you, when you're in Melbourne, you need to go and check out AC/DC Lane and go also to the
without a doubt. That is like without a doubt.
Yeah.
That is definitely going to be done.
And the Cherry Bar, which is kind of like the Melbourne version of the Cat House. This is the club that when bands come to Melbourne, they end up doing secret gigs there at midnight. There's a famous story about, Prince came to Melbourne to do a show once, and he ended up at Cherry Bar. And I think he played a DJ set for about 6 hours and stuff like that. So, yeah, Cherry Bar in Melbourne, I think you would love.
I'll go there.
But, yeah, AC/DC Lane is absolutely amazing, what they've done with that. So, yeah, that would be another good one for you.
Of course. I'm excited for the whole thing. Just getting on stage in front of Australia is exciting to me.
Definitely. Well, mate, I know we are running out of time very, very quickly. So I guess to finish up, what would you like to say to all of the Aussies out there who are thinking about getting tickets to your shows?
At all the shows in America, I do this thing that's sort of VIP, where people come backstage and they meet me and I sign autographs and we do Q&As. For Australia, I got rid of that because after the show, I want to go out and meet everybody. And if you want to take pictures or just ask questions, I'm going to be out there, hanging out with everybody. So you can ask me whatever you want about Hollywood or Cat House or Headbangers Ball or anything. I am just embracing the whole thing and looking forward to it. And if you go there, just go there to just turn your phones off and have fun.
Definitely. Well, Riki, again, for all of the listeners out there, those shows are on Saturday the 3rd of June in Adelaide, Sunday the 4th of June in Brisbane, Friday the 9th of June in Melbourne, and Saturday the 10th of June in Sydney. And all of those dates are up on our website. Riki, I think to finish off, we're going to actually play a track of which you're in the video clip of, November Rain by Guns N' Roses. So
I talk about that too.
Would you love to announce the track for all of our listeners?
I would love to. This is the video, the rock video that's been seen more than any other rock video, over 1 billion views, and I'm in it for less than half a second. This is Guns N' Roses, November Rain.
Thank you so much for that, Riki, and we can't wait to see you in Australia.
Thank you. I can't wait either. Thanks a lot.